Hey folks, Crimson Blaze here. Welcome to the channel. This weekend, my family and I are car camping in the Collegiate Peaks Campground. And if you're anything like me, you like to scout out the campground that you want to go visit and see where the best sites are at. Well, this video is going to walk you through every site of the Collegiate Peaks Campground. Here we are at the beginning of the campground. On your left is actually campsite number 2. That's the camp host. They do sell firewood. At the time of this recording, I think it was $10 a bundle. But that's your camp host. And here, this is campsite 1. That's campsite 1. It looks like we have a pit toilet right across from campsite 1. So if there aren't cars in there, I'll try to give you a better look. Right now it's checkout time, so I'm hoping a lot of people have gone, but I'll try to get into the sites if I can. So here is number 3. Pull up. Looks like they got a couple tents. Some more looks at number 3. And right across, we've got number 4. Looks like one maybe for a smaller tent. That one seems a little big, but little picnic table. I'm not seeing. Yeah, there's a fire pit. Okay. All right, let's keep going. It's campsite number 5. Campsite number 6. And that dog is really eyeing that squirrel. That's funny. But no, this is, yeah, that's number 6. Like a nice campsite. Number 7. Pretty large campsite. A lot of trees. Love it. Love the campgrounds with a lot of trees. A lot of trees for hanging hammocks. All right, so here is where you start one of the loops. And these have letters A through P. So these are the campsites that I know that are close to the water and really nice. Also coming off the main road, we have another loop here. These are for sites 35 through 40. Continuing on straight, you have campsite number 8 here on the left. Looks like to be a nice campsite. Good picnic table, fire pit, bear box, and I hear water. And I'm betting you have access to the water. A couple good spots for tents. But yeah, it looks like that trail, that's the creek right down there. So I bet you the sites along the main drive-in are going to have access to water. All right, continuing straight on. Campsite number 9. It's kind of hard to see back there. Coming up on campsite number 10. So if I were to have to pick a site on the road coming in from the main entrance, I'd pick the sites on the left. So again, picnic table, fire pit, bear box. It's like a nice site down there, even for another tent. You can put a tent here. And I believe all of these sites have access to the water. You may not have like good access, like you're, lounging on the beach there, but I think you can get down to the water if you want to. All right, campsite 11. I'm assuming this is what most of these on the right look like. I'm seeing people back in. I'm not seeing bear boxes on this side. That's interesting. A good shade, hang some hammocks, a couple tents. But yeah, so far, the sites that are closest to the water seem to have their bear boxes. So I'm wondering if that's where they get most of the activity. But not every site has a bear box on it. Right across from 11, you got more pit toilets. You got 12. Looks like a good site. Again, access to the water. Site 13's on the right hand side of the road. No access to water. No bear box. But a lot of trees, some good shade. Looks like there's a good tent pad area back there if you have a larger tent. Looks like 14 is kind of a pull through. Just kind of pull on through. Doesn't seem to have as many trees here. It's site 15. Good access to the water. I got a pretty good camper inside of that one on 15. Oh, 16 looks nice. 16, decent sized pull in. Yeah, this looks nice. I don't see a bear box around here either. So I'm not sure why they put some on in some sites and not in others. But again, a lot of great sites, access to the water. I think the next site over here is further back, so you have a little bit more privacy. You do have that campsite, but it still feels a little private because you would be back here. So this is probably one of my favorite sites on the main driveway. Across the way is 17. And I gotta be honest with you, these ones on the right-hand side, whew, they just ain't doing it for me. Not a lot of trees in this one. I'm curious to what that backs up to. But it almost seems like the ones on the right, would be good for campers, RVs, when you want to pull in, and that's where you're going to do most of your lounging and stuff. But you still got a picnic table, you still have a fire pit when you relax out in the evening. But not a lot of trees, not a lot of area to kind of just hang around in. That's kind of my feel so far, all the ones on the right. So that may be your setup and that may work best for you. All right, we finally have a spigot. This is where you can get some water. And it is next to site 18. Again, I think this is probably the ideal setup if you're on the right-hand side, is bring in your camper RV, and then just eat your dinner, meals, fire out on the other side. 18. And this is 19. It's like a good site. They have a little bit of privacy. There's nobody really over there. 16 was the one I saw over there that was really private, so this is a really nice site too, I think. The water looks like it's much closer, but what I've noticed on some of these sites that are next to the water, it's kind of a drop-off, right? It's not like a nice beachy area. It kind of drops off, so just keep that in mind. Got another pit toilet, a lot of pit toilets, that's good. And this should be 20. Yeah. Site number 20. Looks like they have some really good area back there. I wish I could get down there, but looks like they have some good open space down there just to lounge and relax by the water. On to 21. Little pull in. Doesn't look like you have much space. Maybe for a small tent. Yeah, if you don't have an RV and you just have a small little tent, I think these sites on the right would do just fine. All right, we're still going straight. let's keep on going. I think there's another loop down here, but let's keep on going. Ooh, looks like site 22 is closed. So as of July 11th, 2025, campsite 22 is closed. So you might want to check that on recreation.gov. 23. It's kind of an odd looking site. Looks like it almost just kind of goes straight back and up a little bit. I can't see a picnic bench and a fire pit. That's 23. We are coming into the final loop at the end of the entranceway. And you got some beautiful views. Let's see if these campsites have beautiful views. Number 24. You can back in a large RV in this one. That's probably what you need because I don't see a spot for a tent. Maybe back there you could put a small little tent. But a little bit of a view. Not the best, but still pretty. And then we got 25. This one, yeah, there's not even a parking area, I don't see. Oh, I guess you would park right here, no back end. Good for a little small tent. Want to do some hiking in the area, it's nice. And across the way, 26. Back in lot. Picnic table, fire pit, not much. Ooh, not much of, I guess, a small little tent right there. So again, looks like you'd want an RV in this site or have a small tent. That's 27. It's got a little cool little camper there. Kind of right on the road. Little area for medium-sized tent if you want one. And then right across is 28. Now these might have some good mountain views from their campsite. It's like we're coming around the loop. Love these views. Looks like good moose habitat. Don't know if moose are around here, but looks like it. Yeah, you can see the highway. You just saw a car pass right there. No campsite there. That's interesting. Been nice to have a campsite right there with that view, but there wasn't. Here we go. Campsite 29. Oh, 29's got a view. So that's their campsite. Pretty nice, but that is their view, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, I could see sitting out here dinner time, sun sets over those mountains. That'd be nice. 31. Looks like it's got places for 2 vehicles. You can definitely hear that road. Don't want to hear the road when I'm camping. But you do. I think you can get to the water. I don't want to hear this clearly here though. And then 30 is right across. He's just got a camper. I don't even see. I'm sure there's a picnic table back there. Hopefully in the shade. Yep. Picnic table, fire pit. Looks like they all have kind of a picnic table, fire pit. I think the only reason I would stay on this end is for that view of the mountains. It is beautiful. But coming back, we got some pretty nice views as well. 32. Back in. Tiny spot. Yeah, probably good for an RV or a small tent. And this is, what, 33? Yep. 33. Seems like you kind of have more open, sweeping views with 33. That's nice. I believe this is the last campsite on this loop, and that is 34. 34. And this does seem typical, you know, either an RV or a small little tent. But you do have some good views from here, so that's nice. All right, so we finished that loop and we've come down the main, driveway of the campground. So now I'm heading back. And in the beginning of the campground, you could either turn off to the right and you would see sites 35 through 40. And then if you were to turn to the left, you would see sites A through P, I believe. So let's go check those out. All right, we have made it back to the turnoffs. So that's the entrance as you're coming in. So if you were to take a right here, you would see sites 35 through 40. So let's go check those out. So here is site 35 on my left. Got a nice camper. And I would say a lot of the parking areas are like this. They're probably that length. So if you have a camper that size, you're gonna do just fine in most of these campgrounds. But that is number 35. Yeah, it's nice. Nice open area in there. Fire pit, picnic table. Seems pretty standard. This little loop has their own pit toilets in between 35 and 36. This is 36 coming up. All right, nobody's here. Or at least there's no car. So you can back up in here. You may need to hike up a little bit. Nice picnic table. Good area. I mean, a lot of area for hammocks. Got a little bit of a mountain view. Yeah, this is nice. You can probably hear that. You're closer to the road on this side. So this loop, the further I go, the closer to that highway that leads to Cottonwood Pass, you're closer to that. Campsite 37. It's got a long pullout. You could put in a big old RV here if you wanted to. You may need to. I don't see a lot of flat spots for a tent. And again, you're backing up to another one right there. That's campsite 37. So after 37, looks like this is where you do your little loop. Have a few campsites back here. Yep. 38 and 39. People are getting set up. Nice little site. Flat area. It's 38. 39, kind of right next to it. It's back there. And then this is 40, I believe. Yep, that's campsite 40. So those are the campsites on that small little loop on your first ride when you're coming in. So there is a pit toilet that you have access to. These, you know, they're close to the road. I would want to be on the other side, right? I would want to be on the side with all of the lettered campsites. All right, now we have our final loop, and these are campsites A through P. And to me, these are the best campsites in the campground. Now I'm biased. I don't have an RV. I don't have a camper. I don't have anything like that. I love sleeping in my hammock and tents, and so that's just there. That is where we are at. So I love trees. I love being by the water, and I think these have the best campsites. Campsite A. Right next to the water. Love that. Plenty of trees. There's a bear box, but I can't tell. I don't think it's A. I think this is B. So this has got to be campsite B, which looks really nice. Campsite B. Yeah, I love the feel of these campsites down here on the water. Just feels cooler to me, more trees. Again, you got a bear box and access to the water. So not every lettered campsite has access to the waters, but the ones on the right side of the loop that we're going to do here do. And I don't think they all have like direct, like you can see the water, you can make your way down there, but this is not the easiest campsite to get down to the water, but you could. if you're determined enough. But just hearing the sound of the water, you know, the creek and all these trees, it just feels cooler than walking down that hot, dusty road where most of the cars are going to go. So that's where most of the traffic is going to be at. Obviously, you're going to get some traffic that's coming through these littered campsites, but so far it hasn't been bad. It hasn't been bad at all. So here's campsite C. So it's on the left-hand side, so the water's not going to be, they're not going to have access to the water. And right across from it is campsite D. Got a little cornhole action going on. But yeah, looks like to be another good campsite. It's campsite D. After you take that left off of the main driveway, you'll see campsites A through D. But then you're going to run into another loop. So this way is E through L, I think. And that loops back around, comes back here, and then you start with M, and then these go to P, and then there's the exit where we actually started. So M through P, not on the water, but most of these ones that are going to be on your right are all going to be on the water and really good access. These are probably the best campsites in the campground, in my opinion. This is site E. It is located on the water. Has a nice little pull-in. Put a large vehicle in here. Bear box, fire pit, picnic table. I'm not seeing where you put your tent though. So the water is down there, and I'm assuming there's a trail that leads to an area we can put a tent. I guess you could put a small tent right there, or maybe a small tent over there, but that's site E. Site F, it's here on the left. It is not on the water, but it looks like it's a pretty good sized site. They've got 1, 2, 3 tents, a couple hammocks, paddleboard. So that's site F. And this is the site I heard so much about, and that is site G. So when I was researching this campground, I saw so many comments about how site G was the best site, but I couldn't get a really good look at it. So I wasn't quite sure. So we're in site I, which you'll see here in a minute. But this probably is, in my opinion, one of the nicer sites. So it has pretty good, you pull in your car, but it's got great shade, picnic table, fire pit, bear box, great trees for hanging hammock, put some good sized tents. You could probably put a couple tents. But this is what I like the most about it. You're right here on the water. Almost a little sandy beach right there. Good water. It's not too fast. The current's not too swift. You can kind of relax and wade in it. And actually, I think part of their site may go back there as well. But yeah, if I had to do it all over again, I think this is the site that I would pick. I do like our site, site I, it's coming up. But this is a really nice site. Coming out of G, you've got the pit toilets, which can be a good and bad thing. Depends on whether you are downwind or not. So here is site H. Again, site H is not on the water. Pretty good parking area. I think I saw an RV parked here earlier today, or yesterday I should say. And I've got some good space back here. Looks like you are bumping up to another site over there and over there. So probably not the most private site, but still some good trees for shade. Now we're coming up on our campsite, Site I. You see there, that's where Nate pitched his hammock. It's our little picnic table. So yesterday I did a really detailed walkthrough of our campsite. So I'm gonna cut to that now so you can have a more in-depth showing of this campsite. Campsite I, it's really, it's wide. I wouldn't say it's that deep because there's the road right there. And there's only a couple other sites. We haven't seen really any traffic back there. So it is a weird shaped campsite. It's almost like it's levels. So we have a level here for eating, which I'll show you in a minute. We have a level for where the fire pit's at and the chairs. And then we also have our tents and hammocks kind of tucked back away from the road. So you do have a little bit of privacy. But first, let me show you the eating level. We have a nice fire pit with a grill, which we'll be making a special nachos recipe. And then we typically like to bring this kind of mesh net really to protect us from the sun. It's not really buggy in here, but yeah, it's got a nice picnic table, and we just kind of store some of our gear in here during the day. It's a nice shady spot. Again, you can probably hear the water, see it? That's pretty cool. Next, we'll come into the living room, I guess. So we have our camp chairs. My favorite, the Stargazer. I love that. And hammock. Obviously, this one is just for relaxing. So here is our family tent. Coleman, good old Coleman tent. And then back here, so that's me. I've got the Dutch Abania bridge hammock, and my daughter Natalie wanted to try my hammock tent. So this is the Tentstol Flight Plus. She thought it was pretty cool, so she's going to give that a shot. But look at her view. This view from her tent, her hammock tent. It's beautiful. I got one more spot to show you, and I think it's the best. This is probably where I'm going to be spending most of my time. So there's a little trail. You can see it goes down to the water. And as you can probably see, I've got my hammock, or a hammock, one of my relaxing hammocks set up. So if I can make it down here without falling. Yeah, what a beautiful spot. Look at that. And that's campsite I. There's the fam, just relaxing, making fun of me, that's all. So campsite I is more, it's wide, because here's our tent, there's my hammock, and then Natalie, like I showed you, she's got the hammock tent set up back there. Yeah. So it is a great site. I do like campsite I. It's right on the water, has good access to the water. You saw the hammock where I'm lounging. It is awesome. I really do like that. But I do think G is a little bit better, and I do think this next site is a little bit better as well. And that is campsite J. J does remind me a little bit of G. It's got a good parking area in here. Look at all this great shade spread out, great for hammocks. I mean, you could set up a tent there, a big one here, even further back if you want a little more privacy. And they also have access to the water. And that's probably why this one I wouldn't say is as good as G. G, you're right there on the water. Like, you can lounge by your picnic table and you'll be right on the water. But here, J, you do have a little bit of a walk to get to. But it is beautiful back here for sure. So they've got nice access to water. This creek is beautiful. All right, that's campsite J. Let's continue on with the loop. All right, back on the loop. This is site K. Got a little camper, good view of the mountains, not on the water. Does have a bear box, which is great. You know, I'm walking away from J. I didn't see a bear box, which is interesting. I've seen them on these lettered ones so far, but not on that one. But not a large site, but very good. It's good for pulling in a camper. And this is campsite L. They were here before we got here. Got their nice camper set up. Got the solar panels. So yeah, they've got a lot of good space back here. But this is where you're kind of like on an island, the center part where you are backed up to other campsites. So that's campsite L. So that loop comes all the way back around to E, and then you've got one way. So that's where we came in originally to start the loop. And now this will be the rest of these lettered campsites. So this is campsite M. So we're definitely away from the water. Nice campsite. Picnic table, fire pit. Not sure how far back theirs goes. I do not see a bear box, but it's campsite M. So everything we see now with these letters is going to be away from the water, because that's where we just came from. We just did the loop around that side, and now we're checking out campsite O. Almost looks like a pull through. And campsite N. Yeah, I think we saw the back of this one. Yeah, all these seem to back up to each other. But picnic table, fire pit, very nice. And then campsite P. Looks like it goes back there a ways. Good shade. So those are all of the lettered campsites. And now I am back at the front. So this is actually where we saw site 1, site 2, it's the camp host, and it's just kind of a long stretch. But the Collegiate Peaks Campground is beautiful. I love all the trees. I love the creek, you know, the mountain views. It really is a beautiful place to go camping. It's only 15 minutes from Buena Vista. If you want to go gift shopping or you need groceries or whatever that is. Several great hikes in the area. We did a wonderful hike called Lost Lake. It's only 3.5 mile round trip. So there are plenty of hikes to do in this area. 14ers if you're up for that. But we have really enjoyed our stay here at the Collegiate Peaks Campground, and I just want to kind of give you a more in-depth view of the campsites so you can make a better choice if you decide to camp here. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Until next time, keep on blazing.